What began as a typical rap feud suddenly spiraled into something no one in the industry could have predicted. What was once just another social media back and forth between two hip-hop giants has now evolved into a full-blown crisis that threatens careers, reputations, and long-standing alliances. The atmosphere in the music world shifted overnight. Executives who once dismissed this beef as entertainment were now calling emergency meetings, warning their artists to stay out of it. The leaked recordings spreading across the internet weren't just gossip, they were potential weapons. And at the center of this chaos stood Rick Ross, blindsided and shocked, scrambling to defend a narrative he no longer controlled. The industry felt the tremor, and everyone could sense it. This wasn't a feud anymore. This was a storm. The turning point came with a single confession, Rick Ross admitting he cried for 3.5 hours. At first, people mocked him online, treating it like another meme. But the more the clip circulated, the more unsettling it became. That wasn't the cry of a man under normal industry pressure, that was the cry of someone who knew something bigger, something darker, was coming. Ross's voice cracked as he spoke, revealing a vulnerability fans had never seen before. Behind the scenes, his team was panicking. They knew his breakdown wasn't random. They knew the walls were closing in. And while the public laughed, people inside the industry whispered among themselves, "What is Ross so afraid of?" That emotional outburst was not weakness, it was a warning siren. The industry held its breath as the feud reached its breaking point. Rumors swirled that 50 Cent was preparing one final drop, a reveal that would eclipse everything released so far. Fans stayed glued to their phones, refreshing his page every few minutes. Podcasts delayed their uploads, waiting to see if a bombshell would land. Even Ross didn't sleep, checking his notifications through the night as anxiety consumed him. And yet, nothing dropped. Not a clip, not a message, not a hint. The silence was unbearable. It created a sense of countdown, a ticking clock that no one could hear but everyone could feel. In the shadows of uncertainty, every second felt like the calm before an unavoidable storm. Ross was living in fear of the unknown, and 50 Cent was controlling him without lifting a finger. As the dust began to settle, even slightly, the world realized this feud was more than entertainment. It exposed the dark underbelly of fame, power, and the music industry's hidden politics. It showed how one leak could shake an entire empire, how quickly alliances could crumble, and how ruthless the pursuit of dominance could be. Ross, once seen as untouchable, became a cautionary tale of what happens when secrets, ego, and pressure collide. 50 Cent emerged as a strategist who understood the battlefield better than anyone. But most importantly, this saga revealed a truth no one wanted to acknowledge. In the world of hip-hop, reputation is currency, and once it starts slipping, everyone turns into an enemy. The feud may eventually die down, but the consequences, the fear, the distrust, the cracks in relationships, will echo for years to come. And the world will always remember this chapter as one of the most explosive battles in hip-hop history. With the world closing in, Ross was forced into a place he'd avoided his entire career, self-reflection. Alone in his mansion, surrounded by expensive art, luxury cars, and the symbols of a life he built from the ground up, he confronted a painful truth: power means nothing when the narrative slips out of your hands. He replayed the leaked audio again and again, trying to understand where things had gone wrong. The bravado he showed online had faded, replaced by doubt and fear. His team urged him to stay quiet, but silence felt like surrender. Every door he once walked through with ease now seemed guarded. Every partnership suddenly felt fragile. Ross knew he was at a crossroads: either fight harder than ever before, or watch everything crumble. And for the first time, he didn't know which path would save him. While Ross struggled internally, 50 Cent tightened his grip on the narrative with almost surgical precision. He didn't need another leak. His memes, jokes, and perfectly timed posts were enough to keep the pressure mounting. Each upload was a small explosion, sending fans into chaos and Ross's team into another round of emergency meetings. 50's confidence was unshakable. He positioned himself as the whistleblower, the truth teller, the one exposing the hidden darkness of the industry. And the public loved it. His following grew. His influence expanded. Every video he posted turned into a headline, every caption became a clue. He wasn't just winning the feud, he was reshaping the entire battlefield. For 50, this wasn't personal anymore. It was strategic domination. Ross tried to regain the narrative, but every attempt backfired spectacularly. When he posted long speeches, people accused him of hiding something. When he tried humor, people said he looked insecure. When he addressed 50 Cent directly, memes exploded across the internet within minutes. Ross was in a no-win situation. Silence made him look guilty, but speaking made things worse. Even his own fans started asking uncomfortable questions. Comment sections filled with messages like, "Tell the truth, what else is coming?" and "Why do you sound nervous?" Ross's confidence, the same energy that made him a superstar, had completely vanished. Instead of controlling the conversation, he became the subject of it. For the first time in his career, Rick Ross looked small, exposed, and powerless against a storm he could not stop. One of the most painful parts for Ross came when he realized that the people he had supported for years were no longer standing beside him. Collaborators he once helped rise to fame sat silently, watching from the sidelines like spectators at a disaster they wanted no part of. Even those who owed him favors chose neutrality. Group chats he was once active in went silent when his name came up. Behind his back, conversations filled with concern and curiosity. People wondered what Ross had been hiding. They wondered if he would survive the backlash. They wondered if 50 Cent had more ammunition ready to drop. Loyalty in the music industry has always been fragile, but Ross had never experienced this level of abandonment. It was a harsh reminder: fame brings friends, but controversy reveals who's real. Once the media got involved, the story spun out of control. Blogs, podcasts, YouTube commentators, and gossip channels published videos every hour, breaking down every second of the leaked audio. Analysts compared tone, background noise, timestamps, and even breathing patterns to determine what was edited and what was real. As the days passed, whispers spread that 50 Cent hadn't even released the most explosive material yet. Anonymous insiders claimed he was sitting on a treasure chest of recordings, each one more damaging than the last. Fans speculated wildly about what could be on them: private calls, business conversations, behind-the-scenes deals, or even footage from Diddy's infamous parties. The internet went into detective mode, hunting for clues in old interviews, live streams, and deleted posts. Every time 50 Cent uploaded a meme or a cryptic caption, panic surged through Ross's team. They weren't just worried about what had already come out, they were terrified of what might come next. The uncertainty became a weapon. 50 didn't need to release anything else, the mere possibility kept the entire industry on edge. Even the people closest to Ross began to distance themselves, afraid they might be connected to something bigger and far more dangerous. Behind closed doors, the most powerful figures in the music business began making moves. Executives who had done business with Ross and Diddy for decades started quietly withdrawing support. Meetings were cancelled. Deals were paused. Future collaborations were suddenly under review. Some artists asked to be removed from upcoming projects associated with Ross to avoid the fallout. Managers made urgent calls, warning their clients not to attend certain events or be seen with certain people. It was like watching dominoes fall in slow motion: one connection pulled away, then another, then another. The fear wasn't just about the leaked audio, it was about everything that might be connected to it. People who once bragged about their friendship with Ross and Diddy were now pretending they were never close. The industry wasn't just divided, it was evacuating. Behind the scenes, lawyers were mobilizing. Quietly. Quickly. And with serious concern. The biggest danger wasn't the public reaction, it was the possibility that people were being recorded without their consent. If those allegations proved true, entire careers could collapse. Lawsuits could fly across the industry. Federal authorities could get involved. Record labels feared being dragged into investigations they wanted no part of. Legal advisors warned executives to distance themselves, freeze communications, and prepare for the worst. Even artists not directly involved began contacting their attorneys, just in case their names appeared in the next batch of leaks. The mood in the industry shifted from gossip to fear. And 50 Cent's cryptic comments about having more tapes only made the tension thicker. Everyone was waiting for the next explosion, while Ross scrambled and panicked. 50 Cent remained calm, almost too calm. It was clear he wasn't improvising. He had a plan, and he was executing it with precision. Insiders said 50 had been preparing this moment for months, maybe even years. Every leak, every post, every joke had purpose. He was playing the long game, letting Ross exhaust himself publicly while he held the real power behind the scenes. 50 didn't need to shout. He didn't need to defend. He didn't need to explain. All he had to do was wait. Ross's reactions did the damage for him. This was psychological warfare, patience versus panic. Confidence versus chaos. And 50 Cent knew exactly what he was doing. Feeling isolated and cornered, Rick Ross turned to Instagram, his only weapon left. His posts became more frantic, his voice messages more emotional. He spoke quickly, defensively, almost as if he was trying to outrun the narrative spiraling around him. Fans noticed his tone had changed. The confidence, the calm demeanor, the boss talk he was known for, all gone. Instead, he sounded shaken, desperate to regain control. His PR team was in full panic mode, begging him to stop posting, to stay quiet, to let them handle the fallout. But Ross didn't listen. Every time he posted, he made things worse. Comment sections filled with questions, accusations, and theories. Each misstep spread across the internet within seconds. What Ross didn't realize was that 50 Cent wasn't reacting, he was watching. Waiting. Calculating the next move. And Ross was unknowingly playing right into his hands. The leaks didn't just expose the present, they brought the past back to life. Old rumors about Ross's early career resurfaced with new intensity. Stories about his time as a correctional officer, once dismissed as irrelevant history, were now being re-examined in a harsher light. People began connecting dots between his professional relationships, past deals, and current controversies. Forums exploded with theories claiming Ross had been hiding things for years. Some insiders even stepped forward anonymously, saying the leaked recordings were only the beginning. The internet had turned into an investigative machine, digging into Ross's past with renewed energy. Every old rumor became evidence. Every screenshot became a clue. And every unanswered question became a headline. Ross's carefully built image, the mogul, the kingpin, the untouchable boss, was starting to crack. Then came the whispers about Diddy, whispers that quickly turned into headlines. The recordings revealed conversations between Ross and Diddy that were far from casual. Something about the tone, the secrecy, the subjects being discussed made fans uncomfortable. And then 50 Cent added fuel to the fire by referencing what he called Diddy's parties, and the rumor that guests at those parties were allegedly being recorded without their knowledge. Suddenly, everything connected, Ross's panic, the breakdown, the silence from major industry figures. If these claims were true, or even half true, it could lead to investigations, lawsuits, and the collapse of powerful careers. And with 50 Cent pushing the narrative, more people began wondering, what exactly was happening behind the scenes in Diddy's world, and how much did Ross know? As the controversy deepened, something strange began happening across social media: silence. Artists who normally had a comment on everything suddenly went quiet. Major producers who once praised Ross on a weekly basis stopped posting about him altogether. Collaborators who used to flood his comments with emojis disappeared overnight. Even DJ Khaled, known for his loud positivity, didn't say a single word. The silence was louder than any statement. In private group chats, artists were warning each other to lay low and not get involved. Managers began advising their clients to avoid mentioning Diddy, Ross, or 50 Cent in interviews. The industry didn't want trouble, especially not legal trouble. And when Meek Mill showed support for 50's posts, it became clear the shift had already begun. Loyalties were moving. Friendships were cracking. Everyone was choosing a side, but no one wanted to admit it publicly. While the world reacted loudly, 50 Cent stayed silent, and that silence was more terrifying than any diss track. For months, he watched Ross celebrate his business ventures, his wealth, his status as a mogul, all while quietly gathering information. Screenshots. Messages. Audio clips. Witnesses. 50 didn't rush. He waited. Calculated. Observed. And then, when Ross was least prepared, he launched his attack, the leaked recordings. This wasn't random timing. This was chess. 50 has always understood timing better than nearly anyone in hip-hop. And by choosing the exact moment Ross showed vulnerability, he guaranteed maximum impact. The world watched the recordings drop in real time, and in a single night, the feud escalated into something far more serious than anyone had imagined. The leak sent shockwaves throughout the music world. Phone lines lit up in executive offices from Los Angeles to Miami. PR teams scrambled to draft statements just in case things got worse. Record labels ordered staff to monitor social media 24/7. Publicists warned their clients, don't post anything involving Ross or 50. Don't comment. Don't like anything. Meanwhile, Ross's phone exploded with messages from people who normally never called him unless they needed something. Now they needed answers, and fast. Every hour brought a new rumor, a new theory, a new piece of alleged evidence. Podcasts and blogs rushed to dissect every second of the leaked audio. Some claimed it was edited. Others said it was real and that even more damaging material was coming. For the first time in a long time, the entire industry was afraid.